Friends, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, really appreciate it. We are in the middle of the Criterion sale. And so we're doing these the Criterion editions of the 5. And in this episode, I get to talk with David, Film Collector Archive. And this is actually our very first conversation. So David, thank you so much for taking the time to chat Criterion with me.
Yeah, you bet. And I know we know a lot of same people in the community. So it was good to kind of finally, meet up and have a conversation.
Absolutely. As I told you before we started here, I'm a big fan of your channel, and you do a lot of unboxings, which I find very interesting and enjoy. And you also noticed Orbit DVD. You like to order through those guys, and I've never done anything through them, but I've heard tons of people in the community order through them. And so, sell me on Orbit DVD. Why do I need to start making some orders there?
Yeah, well, for one, they're more in your neck of the woods than mine. They're out in Asheville, North Carolina, and it was, from what I understand. So Mark is the owner out there, and from what I understand, the pandemic was really kind of something that propelled them into the position that they're in now. So just kind of to stay alive, they opened an online presence, and I might be wrong on that. They might have had something before that, but the pandemic really pushed that forward, and so they just have come into the collector market, and they've just really caught fire. I mean, Mark's great. He does live Instagram sessions every Wednesday, Thursday, kind of let us know what's coming out, what they're going to have in stock, and they're just a really great kind of small business, and I love supporting small business. I'll pick them over Amazon any day of the week.
Cool.
So
now, can you purchase Imprint titles through them?
Yeah, Imprint's big with them. They get basically everything from Imprint comes through Orbit. Okay. They've got, now I don't buy any Criterion from them, but I buy a lot of Arrow Video, Imprint. I don't have much Imprint, but I do buy Imprint. Indicator, I'm a huge collector of the Indicator titles, so Indicator comes through there, Eureka. And before, I was going and I would buy direct from all these labels from their site, and I'd have to, of course, pay international shipping and all that. So Orbit has saved me massive amounts of money, and they're really actually competitive. Even with Amazon, sometimes they'll even come in under Amazon's price.
Oh, wow.
Not a lot, but there's occasions where even that will happen. But Mark's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's running a really fantastic business over there, and I love to support the small business stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I have 2 Imprint titles, but every once in a while I'll see that they release one that I'm like, dang, I'd love to have that one. And
yeah. Well, for me, right over here, the Odd Couple collection.
Yes,
was the Odd Couple is maybe my favorite comedy of all time.
Oh, wow.
I've seen that film so many times. It just I could never possibly count. But they had the Odd Couple collection, which I immediately purchased. I got the Warriors. I got Last Train from Gun Hill, which is a great Western. The Out of Towners, another Jack Lemmon film. And so there's Imprint titles for sure, that catch my interest, but I would say probably not as much as other labels, kind of proportionately speaking.
Sure. I'm a huge Walter Matthau fan, so I have a decent amount of his filmography in my collection. I love him.
So do you have, I'm sure, fond feelings for the Odd Couple?
Oh, absolutely. How do you feel about the second one?
Funny story. I have not seen the second one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's one of those funny blind spots. Like, well, Odd Couple's one of your favorite comedies, idiot. Why don't you watch the Odd Couple too? No, it's just a blind spot for me. Now I have that, of course, in this box set.
Yeah.
And so I'll be watching that. I've seen the Odd Couple disc from this set, and the scan looks fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, the supplements are all there, and And so I've just got to dive in because not only do they have the Odd Couple 2, but they've got some episodes of the Jack Klugman
Yeah,
series, which I'm a big Jack Klugman fan via, Twilight Zone and 12 Angry Men, and so he's another actor in there that I'm like, oh, now I get to see some more Jack Klugman. So
that's really cool. Yeah,
yeah,
anything with Matthau, I'm in. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
yeah. Well, and in Orbit, they're just so eclectic with what they really have everything, and I love it. It's basically just a one-stop shop. So on my channel, I'll do the Orbit DVD haul
Yep.
episode, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's basically because they're my one-stop shop. Like I'll pick up some, big studio titles from Amazon. Like I recently picked up, the new 4K, Poltergeist and The Lost Boys, and like I'll do things like that. But Orbit DVD is basically 90+% of everything I have coming in now comes from them.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So we'll be going to their website.
Nice. Well, they have a big title. Actually, they just put back up on the site because they had some issues getting it listed at first because of Arrow kind of wanting them to hold back a little bit. But a lot of people in the community love this Shaw scope set, and
Yeah,
it's the Kung Fu films, and so they have volume 2. And so I was on this morning and immediately threw my purchase in there. So
nice.
spoiler alert, that'll be coming to the channel.
That's really cool. Yeah, I gotta go hit that website up and check out what they have
Yeah.
there. So
Yep. And sorry, one more thing. I don't mean to belabor the point. If you buy 3 or more items from them at any time, they have a running promo code of 3 free, and you get free shipping on anything. You just have to buy 3 items, and then they ship for free.
oh wow, that's really cool.
So that's something to note as well.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, I have 2 questions for you, man, before we dive in. And
Yeah.
The first one for you, we're around Black Friday. Sales for Black Friday look very different from especially pre-pandemic, but even the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Did you do any Black Friday shopping this year? Any sales you had?
It's funny. So I'm in on the Criterion sale right now, which
Yeah.
isn't Black Friday, but it's still a sale. And yeah, I've poked around on Amazon a little bit. That's how I brought in, Poltergeist and some of those. And there's some titles that have hit. Like Poltergeist was like the $9.99 range on 4K.
Yeah.
Like done, sold. And so and I know, I think at the time we're filming this, I think in the next few hours, it's kind of the Black Friday sales week is going to officially kick off. And so I think, like, if you go to blu-ray.com, I live on blu-ray.com.
Yeah.
It's like you see their list of deals. I think that thing's just going to start getting flooded here in the next few hours. So I might pick up. I know I actually just grabbed A Christmas Story today at Walmart.
Cool.
Not on sale or anything, but I still need to grab Christmas Story as well. That's a favorite. I don't think sales are going to be on those because they're so brand new, but if there's some deals that pop up there on blu-ray.com, I'll probably throw a few dollars their way, to grab some of those. So we'll see.
Cool. Nice. And in this, you mentioned the Criterion sale. Was there one in this sale that was kind of like top of the list? Like, it doesn't matter that title, I've got to pick up.
Yeah. 100%. For me, it's again, time of filming this coming Tuesday is going to be their 4K release of Wally.
Yeah.
I'm, for those that know me really well, to say that I'm an animation fan is just a gross understatement. I love animation, and Wally actually happens to be my favorite Pixar film.
Oh, really?
So I 100% thought it was fake news when I saw that come out, and it was like, nah, that's the one thing that would never happen, is Disney would never license out to Criterion. Like, I just didn't see that happening. And I remember I called and talked to several people that day, just like, how did this happen? And yeah, so and that's a really stacked disc. And in fact, there's some supplements on there that your viewers, anyone who's maybe thinking about getting the set, should think about, because this thing is just absolutely stacked. It's got some of Andrew Stanton's short films. It's got, I think the booklet that's included in there is going to have some excerpts from his personal sketchbooks and things like
Wow.
that. But the supplement that everyone should be aware of, this is a documentary that if you have not seen this documentary, this is worth the price of the entire set just for this documentary. It's called The Pixar Story, and it's directed by Leslie Iwerks, who is the daughter of Iwerks, the co-creator, if you will, of Mickey Mouse. His daughter is doing some amazing work these days, and in fact, I know she's got some books that she's published, but she directed this documentary called The Pixar Story that is the most exhaustive documentary on Pixar that you could ever imagine.
Wow.
It is tremendous, and they included it on there as a supplement. And not that I wasn't already sold on getting the release, but that was just like, okay, this is worth 3 times the amount that they're charging for this set.
So them announcing
So
this for you was like heaven comes to earth kind of a thing.
it was, I had to take a drink of water because I was about to pass out. I mean, and I've done some more research since that announcement. Not to be a kind of a Debbie Downer, I don't think that this necessarily points to the relationship that we might think this is pointing to.
Okay.
And I even did a video on my channel with Tony, Basement Blues, where we were just kind of reacting to this news. And it was a fun, video we put together just kind of immediately after the fact. According to an article that I read, Andrew Stanton, I think this was kind of a one-off thing because Andrew Stanton's a huge fan of Criterion. And so apparently this was just a one-off, like he approached Criterion and, however they did it. I still have a hard time believing how they got it done going through the Disney red tape.
Yeah.
But they apparently, made this happen, and it's a one-off deal. Sales from this, I think, are going to be astronomical. I mean, I think it's going to just fly off shelves. So it may lead to something else, but I guess I'm saying I'm not holding my breath. I'm just going to be grateful that we're getting Wally on 4K through Criterion. So
Sure. Amazing.
yeah.
Well, congratulations, man. Obviously, I didn't know that was your favorite animated film, so congratulations on that one.
Yeah, it's just such a great film. I'm really excited to check out the disc. I've got my Sony 4K here ready to watch that disc. So
That's great, man. Well, cool. Well, I'm excited to walk through these 5 questions with you. I always bring my blank sheet of paper so I can take down some recommendations. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what titles you have for us.
For sure.
All right, man. Well, first question, what Criterion have you seen most recently?
Yeah, so this is an easy one because I was watching this disc today. This is one of those films that's been with me for so long. You kind of pop the disc in and almost you're just so in sync with it because you've seen it so many times. But it's really served me so well over my life, different stages of my life. The first time I saw this, I was a preteen, or maybe I was barely a teenager, but John Hughes, The Breakfast Club, which this is a fantastic disc from Criterion. In fact, yeah, it's got a 4K digital restoration, so the scan looks great, and this is one that's just absolutely jam-packed. And this actually has some deleted scenes and things I had never seen before. Being a huge fan of the film, I was excited to see that. But The Breakfast Club is one of those movies that really helped to form my identity, not only as a movie lover, but as a kid kind of coming into his teenage years and kind of forming that identity. And I love the interaction with the characters in this film. It's very much a human centered piece. It's kind of that one location type film. It's all dialogue driven. It's not to mention just the masterful work from John Hughes on knowing how and when to use music.
Sure.
It's one of those films that I'll probably be buried with a copy of this, to be honest.
That's great.
So yeah, I love the Breakfast Club. And I have to mention, in terms of cover art, I'm glad that they went with just the original poster on this. I'd be interested. I'm always interested to see, different artists take, on, the artwork that they do for a lot of these Criterion releases. But there's something just so pure about this original poster that I found really comforting, that they said, you know what, we're just going to go straight to the original poster and call it good.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it. Love this film. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Well, you're going to be disappointed in me, my friend. I've seen some of it. I have not seen the entire film. For me, the 80s is I lived through the 80s and 90s. I was born in late 70s. But the 80s, there's not much with music, film, fashion, any of it that I struggled with it. My wife, on the other hand, loves 80s stuff. And I am like a 90s kid. Like, I want grunge music. I love 90s films. And so for the 80s, for me, is like a couple of U2 records, Bob Marley, Rocky, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. So I just watched last year Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time. And I absolutely loved it. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't have any thoughts on that one, man. I've seen some of it, but it's been a while and it wasn't the whole thing. So
yeah, no, that's, and that's the thing I love about film, is everything is so subjective, right? It's not cut and dry that everyone has to have seen, this film, and this film. And so that's cool. I totally respect that.
Well, what I love about it is, like, when I saw Ferris Bueller, I love that film so much. I immediately bought it. And what it was so great about it is, and that's the cool thing about film is, I could have watched it back then, but there is a huge gift in watching something for the very first time. And I got to do that with that film. And so that is a film that I need to watch. And I love that it's kind of this thing that can come along and then whatever season in your life, and you'll fall in love with it. And you didn't watch it back when it was out, but so anyway, I do need to watch it. It is on my list of films I need to see. But
awesome. Well, if and when you do purchase it, the Criterion edition is definitely a good way to go.
Very cool, man. I know there's anyone who ever mentions that film to me, the Criterion edition, they always say, I think Criterion needs to do more John Hughes films.
Well, there was a kind of in the rumor mill a few years ago, it seemed like it was all but confirmed, was that they were going to do Ferris Bueller next.
Okay.
That was kind of on deck, but of course we can't ever 100% know these things, but that seemed to be the case. So I'm still holding out hope. I've always got it in the back of my mind when they announce each month, that maybe, Ferris Bueller will be on there. But yeah, that's another one it's just so near and dear to my heart.
It was, I'll tell you, Ferris, he was just like, as a parent, I'm like, this kid is a punk. And but his best friend and the principal's assistant, office manager, those two characters, I thought they just had me rolling. I absolutely love those characters.
Yep. Very, very good characters. Yeah. Cameron, his best friend, is he's just so funny. He's so caught up in himself and kind of what he's going through, and he's so almost kind of jittery and nervous about everything, and Ferris is this exact opposite. So it's kind of this yin yang thing that you have going on with these two characters that makes that interplay so fun to watch.
Yeah, it was so good. I'd love to see I don't mean maybe they go straight down the middle and go with the classic movie poster with that, but I'm always interested to see what they'll do with the artwork on these. That's one of the things I love about Paramount Presents is when you open it up, the packaging, and you see that old poster. I love being able to see the both.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that is cool with the Paramount Presents. Yeah, because the main poster for Ferris was actually a kind of landscape poster where it's like the leisure rules, and it's got, so I don't know, like being that kind of
Oh, that's
orientation,
true.
like maybe they would do, maybe that one would lend itself more to, some artist rendition of, whatever. But yeah, sometimes, the original poster is just like Kino Lorber does that a lot with their releases. You'll
Yeah.
notice like with a lot of their 4K stuff, they just go straight to the original poster art, and I love them for it because
Yeah.
it's more times than not, I'm all about the original poster art.
Yeah. No, man, I'm just like you. Every time that Criterion email comes out each month, I'm always like in the back of my head, I'm like, I hope there's this title. I hope there's this title. And then there's some, I was talking
Yeah,
to Cinema Dave. I will admit there are months when there's nothing that I'm interested in, I'm kind of relieved. I'm like, oh gosh, thank you. Because I don't want to add one more to the
yeah,
wish list, you know?
yeah, sure. Yeah, no, and there's going to be those months. It's inevitable. There's so many films, and they've built a library. Of course, over 1,000. Almost what are we? Almost 1,200
Almost.
titles, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable. There's going to be those months where you're like, I'm all right.
My wallet says thank you to those months.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, cool, man. Let's do question number 2. What is the first Criterion film you either watched or you purchased?
Yeah, so on this one, it's kind of funny. This kind of checks off 2 boxes for me. It's the first Criterion film that I ever purchased, and it happens to be my favorite title in the Criterion library.
Oh, wow, cool.
And this is from 1957. I love the 50s. And this is kind of like The Breakfast Club, actually, where it's kind of a shot in one location type of film. It is the utterly spectacular
Oh,
12
yeah.
Angry Men. Um, I don't know how this film could be any better than it is. I mean, I love the cover art, that they use on here. Of course, you have all the 12 jurors, and I love the just the renditions here of each of the characters, and I've got a long ways to go. I will admit this. I've got a long ways to go on Sidney Lumet's filmography. In fact, you bring up Cinema Dave. I know Dave is one that's really big on Lumet. But yeah, 12 Angry Men it's just one of those film experiences that I will never forget. I always go back to my high school days when thinking about this, because that's where I came across the film for the first time, and it's lived with me ever since. And yeah, one of those that I couldn't possibly count how many times I've seen this. Funny note here too, I kind of Frankensteined my set a little bit. And I pulled the Kino Lorber disc for the
Yeah.
'97 remake of,
Yeah.
and I just threw that in here, so that I have the kind of ultimate complete package here, if you will. But yeah, I mean, just the art direction on this set all throughout, even to the disc art, the booklet. And this is a stapled booklet, which I always love, where it's a little
Yeah.
bit more substantial. And then, not to mention, so here I have the Kino Lorber disc, which I know is not official to Criterion, but I have the 2 films here, and then you also get the television, the 1955 television version. So really, it's pretty exhaustive here in terms of 12 Angry Men, but just another incredible, really dialogue driven type film. And if there's anybody out there that hasn't seen this, anyone in your audience, please, I mean, pay the $20. You will never regret buying this film.
Yeah. That's a film to me that goes to show you, if there's good writing and good acting, you don't have to have explosions and CGI and craziness. If it's good writing and good acting, you can have a film in a room that is incredibly gripping and has you on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's so well done. It really is a perfect film. And you just hear people who've seen it, it'll be near the top of their list every time you talk Criterion, that you got to see this film.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And yeah, like I said, for me, it checks off the box of it. It is my favorite film in the Criterion Collection. And that's not to say that there's not 100 other answers I could give on films that I could really put in that spot, but it's 12 Angry Men just keeps answering the call for me of, well, what's your favorite? Well, 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, man, it is so good.
Yeah.
Cool. The third question for you is, what Criterion film has had the greatest impact on you? It could be emotionally, your worldview, life perspective. Yeah. What film would you recommend?
So I'm going to take a deep breath here, because this was a really hard one for me, and one that I had, I mean, 10 answers just right off the top of my head. But I'm going to go with a film that I have actually seen only one time, and this film just had that kind of impact on me. It was, I was absolutely in tears. It's one of these films that I have a hard time talking about, because it hits this chord with me, that it does something to me. And this is actually one of the box sets from Criterion. This is 3 films by Abbas Kiarostami. The Coker trilogy, and it's the first film in this box set, which is, so if you're not familiar with this set, so this is 3 films by Kiarostami, and it's presented in a really beautiful kind of layered box. If you haven't seen this unboxed before, it's pretty neat. And Where is the Friend's House is the first film in this set. I don't think there's an individual offering of the film, at least within the Criterion Collection. But you get Where is the Friend's House and Life Goes On and Through the Olive Trees, all included here. But here we're focusing on Where is the Friend's House, and that's from 1987. It's got a really breezy runtime of 83 minutes. But what I absolutely adore about that film is it boils humanity and compassion and kind of all of these different human emotions down into its simplest form. And the way that Kiarostami presents this on screen through his main protagonist, which is the story is basically told through a little boy. And I don't want to, I mean, because the plot is so deceivingly simple. Excuse me. The plot's so deceivingly simple, that I kind of want people just to go in on this one blind and maybe just take my word for it, I guess. But this film moved me, I mean, like, to my absolute core. It shifted something inside of me. And I was just, I mean, the tears were just flowing, man. I mean, it was, it caught me by surprise how much it took a hold of me. But again, he does it in this really simple way, just boils everything down to its basic elements and basic human elements, emotion and sorry, I'm being a little bit vague, but I promise I'm not, trying to be vague. It's one that I want people to go in and experience it and just see, what this film might do for them. But yeah, it is absolutely exceptional filmmaking. And Kiarostami is one of those filmmakers too. I have this set, and then I've also got Close Up and Taste of Cherry, and there's a few other films in the collection that come from Kiarostami. But Where is the Friend's House, in my opinion, should be stop number 1 if you're going to explore the work of Kiarostami.
Wow.
So,
I have not seen any of his work, so this is great. I need to check this out.
Yeah. So the Coker trilogy again is the box set, and then you get the 3 films in there. And I won't do it right now, but to see this set unboxed, it's really well put together by Criterion. It's not just a standard, pull out digipack. You've got to, kind of see it for yourself. But it's a really beautiful box set.
Cool. And for the other 2 films in that trilogy, after seeing that first one, is it like Oh yeah, and there are those two others, or are those other two really strong films as well?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen the other two yet. I've seen the first film multiple times, and I've seen Close Up multiple times. And I know the story. I know, and see, this is on me. I know the story continues, and there's kind of connective tissue between the three stories here. And so yeah, that's I need to fix that very soon. But yeah, yeah. Whereas the friend's house, I've seen multiple times, and it'll blow you away.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know for me, this is not highbrow cinema, this trilogy, but like for Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight ruined the entire trilogy for me. I couldn't care less about Batman Begins. Whatever the last one is, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
The middle
Dark
one was
Knight Rises.
Yeah, the middle one was so significant for me that if I'm going to spend any time
Yep.
watching a Batman film, it's going to be that one. And it just, yeah. So that's why I was wondering when you spoke so highly of that first film, like if it impacted the other two films, or if the other two films were able to stand under, like where you placed that other one so high. Because for me, that in that trilogy, it just, I
Yeah.
went and saw that. I saw Dark Knight 3 times in IMAX. I've never seen a movie more than once in theater before. And that one, I just could not stop watching.
I'm, for what it's worth, I'm right there with you on the Dark Knight. It ruins superhero movies for me. Period.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's the gold standard for me.
It is the gold standard for sure. And I'll take a moment of honesty here as well and kind of explain why I've been hesitant on watching the two other films. So I fall into this category. In fact, there's another box set in the collection I'll make the same point on, because and I hate that I let this happen, but it's sometimes I'll watch a film and it will have the impact on me like Whereas the Friend's House had, and I will be so mesmerized by this film that I'm afraid to go to the other films in the set because of kind of what you're talking about. I want them to be as good as what I just watched.
Yeah.
And I fear that nothing could be that good. And so I kind of self-sabotage, and it's like I cut myself off. And then it's like, well, eventually I'm going to get there. But it's like I don't want those two to ruin my image of this film in a way. It's this weird, I don't know. But the same thing actually happened with the Wim Wenders Road Trilogy box set. So I've seen Alice in the Cities, which is the first film in the set, and I was so emotionally impacted by that film, and so just so again mesmerized by what I had seen, that I haven't kind of allowed myself to get to the other two yet. So it's this weird. It probably makes no sense. So those watching, I'm sorry. It probably makes no sense, but I do look forward to more Kiarostami because I find him really fascinating. I saw Close Up actually before I saw Whereas the Friend's House, but Close Up is, I guess I'm kind of cheating bringing in another title, but
it's all good.
That would be another one. Close Up by Kiarostami is just, it's impactful in a very different way than this film is. So
okay. And
yeah, sorry,
what was the name of that film? You said you watched the first one and you didn't get the rest of. What was the name of that?
Yeah, so Alice in the Cities.
Okay.
Which is and it's not Wim Wenders. I guess it's Wim Wenders. Yeah, it's part of the Road Trilogy, and that's the first film in that box set. Really nice, really well put together box set, and I look forward to getting to the other two films. But Alice in the Cities, and that was kind of earlier in my Criterion journey, was watching that, and I was getting more into world cinema, and kind of getting my feet wet a little bit. And yeah, it's kind of one of those, I think it just hit at the right time for me, that it was just like, absolutely blew me away. So
cool. Well, you mentioned that was an emotional film for you. So I don't know what it is, but I love my collection is very, very heavily curated, and it has to impact
Yeah.
me in some way for me to keep
Yep.
it in the collection. So even if it's John Wick, I love my wife passed away. You took my dog. That was my last connection to my wife. I have to now destroy everything. Like even that, I'm
Yep.
like, that's still so freaking cool.
Yeah.
I love
Sure.
like not Stephanie recommended to me 9 Days and
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Bayou. Blue Bayou, I was full on ugly crying. Like just I was a complete wreck. So I love emotionally gripping films. My
Yeah.
daughter, she was teasing me. She was giving us like superlatives at home the other day. And she looked at me and she goes, "You're the emotional one." And
Oh no.
which in my life, I'm literally like this all the time. But when it comes to like movies and stories, I am full on like I will cry at the drop of a hat, you know. But in my
Yeah.
regular daily life, I'm just even keeled. But so anyway,
Yeah.
when you mentioned that it was emotionally gripping, I wanted to know the name of that one. So
Okay, so I'm gonna that kind of segues. I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell you one more from Vin Vendors.
cheat all the
So
way.
because the Coker trilogy, this is one of the ones that I was going to bring up for the answer to this question. You know, what Criterion films had the greatest impact on you? Um, his film Paris, Texas is I intentionally did not talk about that on this stream this video because I thought I would lose it talking about the
Wow.
film.
Okay.
There's and I'm holding it together. Uh, there is a scene in that film. I'm not even gonna talk about it. There's a scene in that film that destroys me,
Wow.
destroys me when I watch it, and it's Harry Dean Stanton. Um, if you see the film at some point, we'll talk and I'll tell you what scene it was. But
Okay.
it is if you're gonna go Vin Vendors, and really I would start with Paris, Texas. But I mean, Alice in the Cities and Paris, Texas are two phenomenal films.
Okay. Oh, this is
Yeah,
great, man. Well, friends
yeah.
watching this, you're getting more than 5 recommendations.
I apologize.
Not at all. You know, every Criterion fan is just like sucking up so much Criterion content right now that
Yeah,
they will love this. So
yeah. Good, good, good.
this is great, man. Did you see by any chance Blue Bayou?
No, I was gonna tell you that the name of that film does not ring a bell.
Dude, Stephanie recommended this to me, and she said what was so impactful for her was that this is a real issue going on in the United States and regarding immigration of people who
Oh,
were
okay.
adopted into families in the United States, but the paperwork wasn't done properly or it was illegal, but they had no idea. And then there's some people who end up in their 20s or 30s, and they're told that you're leaving the country now, you're being removed from the country back to where your native country was, but you don't speak the language, you don't have a single friend or family in that other country, and they're literally put on a plane and shipped out. And you might have a wife and children, and it does not matter. The movie was great, but man, the last scene, I was just full on ugly bawling. And thankfully, I was watching it by myself. But it
Yeah.
is just such a powerful film. And Stephanie was right. It was unbelievable. I highly recommend it. And 9 Days was the other one she recommended to me that instantly became one of
I
the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Well, I'm typing out the name of that Blue Bayou. Yeah, and the 9 day. Yeah, I know what film you're talking about there. 9 days. I'm gonna look. So is Blue Bayou in the collection then?
No, it's actually not a Criterion film.
Okay, I
Um,
didn't think. Yeah, maybe I was thinking in context of the Criterion Collection. I'm like, yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, no, this is no, it's not. It might be Sony Pictures, maybe. Um,
Okay,
but yeah, it's good, man.
I will most definitely check that out.
It's crushing, but it's good. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, man, this is great. So let me see. That's like 4 recommendations for one question. This is fantastic.
Oh,
I
I
love
knew
this.
I knew this was gonna happen. I'm just like unleashing on you, I guess.
This is great. Cool. Well, question number 4. What Criterion film do you consider? None of these are probably underrated. They're all in the collection, but maybe
Yeah.
one that you don't hear people talk about much that you think deserves more attention.
Yeah. So one of the things that kind of hurts my heart a little bit is I hear this one brought up, and you know, it kind of gets that review of, wow, that was a boring movie. Um, and man, I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo. This one just, it really hits for me. And I will say this, kind of leading into, showing what title I've got here. This is one of those films that's not driven by narrative. There's no A to B, we're telling a story here. This is all about, ambiance and just kind of, this it's kind of a dreamscape that we're kind of pushed through. And so it's more about atmosphere than it is story. And if you go into this film with that kind of mindset, not looking for, character A, B, and C, and why character A did this to character C, and what the arc of the character is at the end of, no, take all of that, throw that out the door, and just go in on just kind of look and feel, and, again, just kind of the environment. This is a film by Herc Harvey, and this is Carnival of Souls. This is a black and white film from 1962, and it's another one with a really short runtime of 78 minutes. So, the excuse of I don't have time doesn't fly with this one. It's a really quick watch. And yeah, so Herc Harvey, the interesting thing with this director, my research shows that, so this was his only film, kind of. He worked on kind of industrial like training type videos, and then he also made this film, which is a really, really like shoestring budget type film. And so this is actually filmed in my home state of Utah.
Okay.
And they use the landscape there, and some of the locations very much to their it adds so much to the atmosphere of the film. And so I found that personally, like, oh, I know where that is. And granted, it was 1962, so we're in fact it's the 60th anniversary of this film. But yeah, like I was saying, it's if you go into this just throwing away having to have that story and just enjoying and an interesting atmosphere, and man, I mean, this just really, really delivers for me. And I hear people say, wow, that was a boring movie, or it wasn't really for me, or it wasn't. And I get that, and that's an acceptable, like, okay, like, it's not for everybody. I think it's underrated, like really underrated.
Okay.
And I'd love to see more people talking about this film. Because I don't think it gets enough credit. And this is, so this is spine number 63. So it's early in the collection, but this was upgraded to Blu-ray not terribly long ago. Maybe I might be off on this, maybe like 5 years ago.
Okay.
So not, it's not ancient history, but yeah. And then this is one, it's got, so this is a new restored 4K digital transfer. I mean, it looks really phenomenal. And again, being on, such a shoestring budget, I really love what Criterion was able to do here on, no pun intended, kind of bringing this back from the dead a little bit, and giving us a really nice presentation of, I feel, a very underappreciated film.
Cool. I've not seen that film. I've seen the artwork, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The artwork. This is a great example. This is probably, I can safely say this is top 10 Criterion artwork for me.
Wow. Cool.
I love the design on this. And once you see the film, it lends more, like, you feel more for the artwork, obviously, once you've seen the film, but really love the art direction there. In fact, I should look up the artist on this, and look at some of their other work. But yeah, really, really fantastic.
That's one of the things about Criterion is I do always look forward to, even if I'm not purchasing the film, I do love to see the artwork that they pull out for, because some of their artwork for
Yeah.
the releases are absolutely incredible. Love it.
Well, and being as big of a music fan as you are, I mean, album covers and things like that, it's a very expressive
Absolutely.
medium, and it lends so well to this type of thing. I love to see that expression, and like, yeah, Breakfast Club, like you go with the original poster, awesome. But I love to see these, the artist's hand on these covers, and this one just really delivers.
I watched an interview with Noel Gallagher from Oasis, and he said he was sitting at the dinner table with his daughter, and he said that he had just got back from a meeting about the artwork, and she was like, "What artwork?" And he's like, "For the album." And she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he
Oh,
couldn't get the idea across to her of how big and how complicated and how much of a process it is for the artwork. And she still wasn't clicking. And then he said, that little square on your phone right before you click the song? And she's like, yeah. He goes, it's about $25,000, to get that picture,
yep.
And but for kids, they're just like, they don't get it. But yeah, if you're a music collector, like I've got there's just like this mountain of CDs, this tower back there, 4 sides, and all of the artwork means something to me. And I collect vinyl, and the artwork means something to me. And so it does mean something to me when these Criterion films, when you see that they've put work into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, I've been very afraid to start collecting vinyl because, as I'm sure you know, I don't think it will ever end. Because I love music. I mean, my wife is a huge fan of music. Like that's more of
Okay.
her thing. I'm obviously, the film guy, but I definitely love music enough that if I were to start down that path, it would never end. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if I end up going down that road. But and I'm definitely not nearly as versed as you are on music and artists. I love hearing you talk about music on your channel, but music has always been something that's been with me, and it's always played such an amazing companion to films, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, we have these greats. Like I grew up on John Williams. I mean, it was like John Williams was, I mean, next to God for me growing up. It's like
Sure.
John Williams, I mean, I think, the ET soundtrack was probably like the big one for me growing up. And, you know, music and film, I mean, it's just this
Yeah.
companionship. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. It's just this companionship that's always, one feeds the other so well.
Yeah.
And I love that about film and music, is that they just work so well together.
Well, you mentioned about the Carnival of Souls. Like after you see the film, the artwork means something different to you. The
Yeah.
History is Made at Night, the Gene Arthur film that wasn't released that long ago in the
Yeah.
collection.
Frank Borzaghi. Yeah.
Yeah. So that artwork, when it originally came out, I was like, I didn't love it. And then, but I'd never seen the film. And then I got the film, I watched it, and I was like, this artwork is incredible. Like it really
Yeah.
does. When you spend a little time in the film, you spend a little time in the supplements, that the supplements, the film, and the artwork, and sometimes just like it comes to all new, no new, take you to all different places and a greater depth in all of them when you start taking them all. So I forget who I was talking to the other day. I think it might have been James. Like you can take a Criterion film and just watch a movie, or you can take a Criterion film and, like you said, you can get really academic about it, and your world just explodes when you really dive into the film. And Criterion obviously
Yeah.
does a phenomenal job of presenting a film in all these different avenues and ways that the film becomes something so much bigger than just the movie.
And then that segues actually very well into our. So I'll let you ask the last question, but
All right.
I'll show you why that segues into this last one for me as well. And I completely agree, because like Carnival of Souls, I mean, just the art direction of the cover. Yeah, once you see the film, it's like, wow, they really understand the film. The artist understands what they're doing, the film that they're doing the artwork for. So that's really neat.
Cool. Well, then let's do the last question then, man. What Criterion film brings you the most joy, hope, laughter, puts a smile on your face?
So there was a couple films that jumped out at me for this one, but I knew there was only one answer. For me, I'm just going to show it right now. It's Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Cool.
Wes Anderson is one of those filmmakers that I feel like people either really connect with his work or they don't. I find that the more of his filmography I explore, the more I can't live without it. I mean,
Wow.
I could never not have these films, on my shelf. And I have all of the Wes Anderson works that are in the Criterion Collection I own. So Darjeeling Limited and Bottle Rocket and Grand Budapest. And, I hope eventually they get French Dispatch, which I actually have not seen yet. But yeah, Criterion's doing a really great job with his work, and Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's one of those films that just puts an absolute smile on my face. I love the art direction. The stop motion, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. It just puts me in one of those moods. I love the dialogue, and the thing that really pulls me in about Wes Anderson's work is I love the visual symmetry of what he's portraying on screen. It's like everything has its place, and just the way that there is kind of this X factor, this ambiguity to his work that it's almost hard describing. It's like, well, it's very Wes Anderson-y,
Sure.
It's like, when you're watching a Wes Anderson film and when you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, he has this very distinct style. And the funny thing is, whether you're watching a stop motion Wes Anderson film or a live action Wes Anderson film, they're really one and the same, aside from the obvious, delivery of, this is stop motion and that's live action. That symmetry that runs across his work, it's present in all of his films. And so you just, like, okay, yeah, we're watching a Wes Anderson film. Based on a Roald Dahl book. I know from what I read, his wife, Roald Dahl's wife, was, because obviously Roald Dahl didn't see the release of this film. She was really, really happy with the final product here. Cool. And so that's kind of a cool side note, but man, I can't get enough of it. My kids love this movie. I obviously adore it. And so this is a disc that gets popped in a lot. And to connect it to our conversation before, like I said, I would, the art direction on this cover, I really love the kind of the colors throughout the set. It's one of these digipack,
nice.
Presentations and just all throughout, this art direction, like they really commit to it, and, down to the, the disc there. But it's just, there's nothing like Fantastic Mr. Fox. Well, I guess other Wes Anderson films, but yeah, it's I remember seeing this one in the theater, actually, because this was, what was this? 2009. I actually did see this one in the theater as well. And man, and I was brand new to Wes Anderson at that point. I had not seen his work previously. And in fact, it was early in my Criterion collecting too that I stumbled across the Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is the new just Blu-ray disc. I did used to own the dual format bigger box set, but they discontinued that, and I decided to go with the thinner one. But I had stumbled across the Criterion box set for Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I didn't know existed, and I saw the artwork and everything on. I'm like, what is this edition? Like, I've never seen this before. And so obviously immediately purchased it. And that was early in my Criterion. Like, I was still trying to understand what Criterion was, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's a blind spot for me. I've known of that film for a very long time, but I've never seen it yet. So,
John. get your family together, get some popcorn, some drinks, and watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. It is phenomenal.
Cool, man. I definitely have to. I have,
Yeah.
yeah, Wes Anderson is a director I have not gotten into. Um, but this will be the first one probably. So
Yeah, it's fantastic.
nice. So you're a big animation guy then. Animated films, you're a big fan of those?
Animation is definitely one of those things it's been with me my entire life. I mean, like first memories of life were, the Disney animated films and I'm I definitely consider myself a student of film. I'm always researching, and um, film history is one of those things that uh, it's a daily basis with me. Something that I'm looking at, and animation is one of those sweet spots for me where I can't get enough. In fact, right now I'm reading Leonard Maltin, he's one of my favorite
Yeah.
human beings on planet Earth. Just a sweetheart of a guy. His book on the history of the animated cartoon, I just dove in on, just started reading, and that's a text that's been used across a lot of universities and stuff, teaching film and animation history. And so that was a blind spot for me in Leonard Maltin's work, which I've read quite a bit of his stuff. And in fact, I've got the back here, the Walt Disney Treasures collection
Cool.
on DVD, which is very hard to come across all 30 of those titles in that collection, but I'm so happy to have those. Tony actually, Basement Blues has the complete collection as well, and we've talked about the Treasures collection before. But yeah, so Leonard Maltin's all over that as well. But I mean, yeah, animation for me is it's like ground zero for me. I
Cool.
mean, it's really, yeah, it's a big thing for me.
Nice. I don't have a ton of animated stuff in my collection. I have a handful, and again, for me, so it'll fall into two categories for me. It's got to be really old. I've got some like old Popeye stuff, old Mickey stuff. The only one I have, those tin Disney Treasure, right? Those tin.
Yep.
So the only one I have is Mickey Mouse and Living Color Volume 1. It's the only one I have. But that's
a great set.
Old Disney stuff I love. So I've collected all of those older films. And there's a handful of newer ones that I love. So for me, my favorite animated film of all time, and it was probably the right season of life that it hit me, but it just destroyed me, was oh shoot. I literally have on the tip of my tongue. With Riley, and All the Emotions.
Oh,
Pixar film.
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
Yeah.
That film, man, I just moved. I lived in upstate New York for 14 years, and everything that Riley was going through, I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're feeling, Riley. I'm like almost 40 years old at this time. And it was just like, for me, it was this beautiful film. And then when I was going through all the supplements and stuff about how they use like psychologists and stuff to actually build this film and the content of it, it was just gorgeous. So for me, that would be a newer one I love. Have you seen My Life as a Zucchini?
Oh, funny thing, I have that. I've seen part of that. I was watching that late night with one of my kids, and I think I probably fell asleep just because it was late at night.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't interested. I have that via the G Kids collection, so
cool.
I own it, but I don't have a full opinion. But what I saw, it was incredible.
Yeah, that one would be one. And then the other one for me, again, I'm not a huge animated guy, but emotionally it got me. And I don't think it did well, but have you seen Smallfoot? It was like James
like
Corden.
a DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
LeBron James is a voice in it. Like, it's not Danny DeVito's in there. Like, it certainly is not highly regarded, but I was like on the edge of my seat, like losing my mind. It's the coolest movie on the evolution of truth and how truth, communities and groups can say this thing is true. and yet we can evolve where that may have been true. So there's some things that will remain true, but then there are some things that evolve and so I was sitting there going, this is brilliant, man. All the kids are just laughing at the goofy humor, but I was like, this is so good, like for so many different areas of our lives. And so, yeah, I bought it like day one, which I don't buy animated films, but that was one on the idea of truth. That's just really interesting. But
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'm kind of like you, what you were alluding to earlier. I'm definitely, and this is kind of true for me, kind of more in general. It's like the older the film, the better.
yeah.
But there's definitely those, I mean, like Pixar's really hit the nail on the head a few, probably more than a few times with me. But yeah, I'll definitely check out Smallfoot, watch that with the kids. I think my kids have actually probably seen that. It seems like that's a title that I've seen on the streaming, playing.
And if you watch it and it's terrible, I apologize that I've wasted an hour and a half of your time.
No, wait. Yeah. Watching an animated film is always a good use of time.
There's some funny jokes in there that I laugh really hard at, but I just on the idea of truth, whatever arena of life, I thought it was a cool idea, but yeah.
Perfect.
Well, David, this was awesome, man. And you've given me some titles to check out that I have never checked out before. And that's one of the amazing things about the collection is, and no matter how many times you go to that website and scroll through and you think you've seen everything, someone will tell you about a film that really grabbed them, and you realize I've never even seen that one. I've scrolled the site countless times, but never seen that one. So,
all right, John, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
I want you to look through that list of recommendations you've gotten from the video.
Yeah.
And I want you to pick one. And I will, whatever you're comfortable with, if you Venmo, whatever, I'm gonna throw you $20-25, and I want you to pick one of those.
All right.
Because it's a recommendation I made. So I wanna like hold to my recommendations, and I'll buy you a title off that list. You just let me know which one.
Well, that's very kind and generous of you, my friend. Well, this is great, man. I honestly, and you started mentioning this, especially films that grab you emotionally, and this is great, man. This is awesome. That's one of the things I've loved. So my goal was to do 30 films in 30 days throughout the Criterion sale, and just life and work and everything. And it was like, it's not going to happen. So I was going to do a bunch of videos on lists and things like that, and unboxing and reviews, and I cut all of that and just went with who do I want to have conversations with? That's what I think I'll enjoy the most. And so this is what we landed with. And so I'm really excited that the focus is just on conversations, learning from other people about films, and having your my understanding of film be expanded. So this is phenomenal. I really appreciate you taking the time to pull some titles. And one of the things I love about your channel, which is what I knew it wouldn't disappoint having a conversation with you, is you're very thoughtful. And Stephanie and I were talking about it. You're very thoughtful in how you talk about film and how you present film. And I really appreciate that it's not just about a hype about a film. You do it very thoughtfully. And so all the picks you made were very thoughtful. So I'm looking forward to watching through these trailers. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I think there's some titles there that I'm pretty confident in. I tried to have a little bit more of an eclectic list here, kind of not just one genre or whatever, but yeah, I mean, you know as well, I mean, Criterion is just such a gold mine of new discoveries, and there's so much out there. So yeah.
Cool, man. Well, this is great. And this is great to actually get to meet you really for the first time, although I've been watching your channel for some time. It's great to actually get to say hello and meet you. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. I've been a Plaid X2 guy for over a year. So I've been watching you for a while.
Well, friends, if you're watching this video, definitely check out David's channel. You've got a great channel, man. And he's got constantly putting up great content and showing off stuff that is new to me. And so all the links will be down below. and definitely go check that out for Instagram and YouTube. So yeah. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. And glad we get to actually have a conversation.
Thank you, John. I hope it's the first of many.
There you go. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great night, David.
All right, you too.